All right, y'all. Welcome back. Welcome back, man. So I told you I got a very special episode today. Man, I got my partner, man. I got my partner from a long time ago.
Yeah.
Me and T that do aftermath. Shout out to T, man. We've known each other a long time, but I gotta say, man, Amontè, bro, I got Dr. Amontè Martin Sr. on today. Amontè, bro, I known you about all my life, bro.
Yeah, all your
Just
life.
just about, dog.
All done and date, man.
Hey,
Long
man.
time coming.
Long time, dog, man. Let the people know, man, who was Amontè Martin Sr. Dr. Amontè
Man, who
Martin
I'm
Sr., man. I gotta make sure I say that.
hey, Doctor, hey, honestly, man, I'm just a man trying to get it right. You know what I'm saying? Born and raised Tallahassee, Florida. Um, my big thing, I'm Dr. Martin now, so I just got my GED just to finish my dissertation and graduated from the University of Florida. But honestly, man, my favorite scripture is everything that has happened to me has happened to advance the gospel. So everything that I've done, everything that I'm doing, I consider it my ministry. So that's who I am. I don't want to talk about my accolades and nothing like that, but just through me, that's who I am. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir, man. Monte, man. Tell the people about your story and your background, man. Tell the people about your story, man.
Yeah. So a little bit about me. Where you want me to start at, man? It's so many ways I can go with it. So growing up in Tallahassee, Florida, I was raised by my grandparents, which my grandparents. I moved to Orlando, third, fourth, fifth grade. So raised in a single parent home in Orlando, Florida. Moved back to Tallahassee. So I was kind of moving a lot. I moved all over Tallahassee. And I really didn't know what I wanted to do growing up. You know what I mean? I was just kind of being raised in the church. But as you grow up, you kind of stray away from the church. And, I had to found my own, leading up to kind of high school. You know what I'm saying? If you want me to jump into that kind of story. So high school, you want me to jump into that?
Yeah, you go ahead and tell people, man. First I want to ask you real quick. That growing up in the church, right? How important was that at a young age and then now?
Yeah. So to be honest with you, at a young age, man, I hated church, man. I not like the people in church, but I hated going to church. My grandma used to have to drag me out of bed, like you go miss Sunday school, and my granddaddy was like the chair of the deacon board, so I had to. All the vacation Bible school, we had to get all the equipment all the time, the pizzas and stuff. So I just felt like I was always, my life surrounded around church, you know what I'm saying? And I hated it. I didn't understand the value in going to these summer camps and all these Bethel by the lakes and just all the stuff around church. I didn't understand it. I at a young age, it was just something that my grandmother made me do. But to this day, like I said, everything that happened to me has happened to advance the gospel, man. I thank God for my praying grandmother, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of things that happened when I strayed away from the church, it kind of pulled me closer to my foundation, you know what I'm saying? So at that time, I find myself now dragging my boys in the morning, like, hey, man, y'all got to come on, man, it's time to go to church. But, at that time, I didn't understand. I didn't understand church. And I didn't understand why I had to go. It's the weekend. I'm tired. But now it's just foundational piece of my life. And interestingly, you talk about church. I try to go to church with me and my wife. We moved to Gainesville. We moved to Indiana. We moved a lot of different places. We lived in Iowa. And just trying to find a church home is hard. But what kind of kept me grounded along the way is learning through my story, through my wife's story, kind of like if you look at God as a human, if you look at Jesus as a man and the struggles and the things that he went through and kind of the testimonies of his life, you know what I'm saying? I felt closer to God by seeing other situations and through other people. You know what I'm saying? Like Nipsey say, evidence of a divine presence, you know what I'm saying? Blessings. Mm-hmm. And so just learning that through different people, and I was thinking chess moves, but it was God's grace, things like that, like learning through other people's experiences, which is what started my podcast. And that's how I got closer to God, was through living life and other understanding different circumstances. So I hope that answers your question, man.
Yeah, man, you did. Hey, Monte, man, all them speeches and them plays we had to do, dog. How much did that help you in college? And and through all the stages through college and just now when you had, I know you probably
Yeah,
had to do speeches. You just got your PhD, so you had to do your dissertation. So how much did that help
yeah,
you?
man. Even to this day, I hate public speaking, man. It was one of those things. Like I said, I was made to do it, but I didn't know how beneficial it was at that time. Like right now, it's funny you asked me that. When I first moved up here to Georgia, man, I was looking for, you remember the Tropicana speech contest? I don't know if you
Yeah,
remember that.
yeah, I remember
I was
that.
looking for something, similar to that to get him, like, to get his confidence up, to make him nervous, kind of throw him in the fire, to kind of get him in doing that, just so later on he won't feel it. So like during that time, like I said, church was one of those things we was made to do. We had the Easter speech every Easter. We had to be in the play, the same
Play
play.
too, same.
And we was in the choir, the little Sunbeam was choir on the usher
Oh,
board. Anything you think about, we was doing it in church. But like I said, I didn't understand the value of all that, the community building, the networking, the public speaking. I didn't understand all that back then. But now it's just like, wow, you had a community, not only believers, but just a community of people who look like you, who are going through similar things as you, who can relate to you, who probably your family, you know what I'm saying? That could kind of like, hey, try to do it this way, try to do it that way. So that constructive criticism, it helped me out a long way. Public speaking now, it's not as frightful. I got the podcast, I try to do it a lot. It's not as frightful, but really it's just, when you have your expertise, learning the knowledge and make sure you get it down pat. But church, yeah, really, really helped me stand on just doing it, like Nike, man. You got to just get up there and do it, because your grandma go, hey, it's either the belt or it's either the, what I'm saying, the speech.
yeah. Bro, I
Yeah.
love, and we'll move on. I love how like I tell my mom, like I tell her thank you all the time. Just we on this side of town, then like that church, Philadelphia, if everybody from every side of town, and then you come to this
Every
one
side of
church
time.
and you playing all on Saturday, your mom and them in meetings, and you just outside
Yeah.
playing, downstairs playing, man. That's just lovely though. I think that's something that's really missing from the Black culture. Now I be thinking, I be watching church online, church
Yeah.
online and stuff. I be like, man, dog, man, like dang, man. I wonder if many of us watching church are paying attention to church or going to church anymore. Because man, that's something to experience that everybody should have, especially young, just being around all
Yeah.
those different people.
Yeah, especially the pandemic kind of messed that up, because for the longest, just from moving and commuting, you can't just join a church or the discipleship or anything, because pandemic, moving, it's just so many moving pieces. Sometimes my wife had to work on the weekend. When I was doing my dissertation, I had to research on the weekend. It was crazy. So yeah, I miss it. I miss that family feel of church, man. That just being able to know not only the worship side, because church, that's what it's for, but just the people. You know what I'm saying? I miss the people
Mm-hmm.
being in church. Watching TD Jakes online is just not the same.
Nah,
Yeah,
man. So we'll move on to your college years real quick, man. At what
yeah,
point, man, if you want to explain your college years a little bit, your college
mhm.
journey.
Yeah. So taking a step back, looking at high school, man. Just kind of long story short, I didn't end up graduating from high school, man. It was a crazy story. I kid you not, man. My senior year, getting ready for graduation, bought my little cap and gown, sent out the little invitations. And you have walkthrough practice like the day before, or you might have it like if you have a 9 o'clock, you might have it at 12 or early in the day. So I went to walkthrough practice. I got a lot, and I saw my guidance counselor. She pulled me to the side. She was like, come here, come here. And I was like, what's going on? And she was like, she hate to tell me this, all this. She's sorry, but I didn't have enough credits to graduate. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't graduate with my graduating class because I didn't have the credits. I was like 2 or 3 credits short. And so, that threw me back a little bit, because it's like, man, I invited my family, everybody in town. I took graduation, look, high school pictures. I did all this little stuff, and I couldn't graduate. And so at that point, I was chasing kind of this football dream. I wanted to play football. My dad played at Florida A&M University. He went on to play for the Bills. My little brother, Amir Rasul, played for Florida State. He played running back, then he went to Middle Tennessee. I come from a football family. Like, a lot of people in my family play football, Hampton, a lot of HBCUs. And so that's what I wanted to do, was play football. But, academically, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So long story short, I got into FAMU through the back door. And, I didn't graduate from high school, but I was at FAMU until the summer class. And so I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't even want to be at FAMU because, not only my dad, but my granddad was in the band at the 100. I mean, he was in the band in the 100. He worked for President Humphreys when he was there. He was the FAMU DRS principal at FAMU DRS. My mom played basketball with the FAMU High. My grandma, everybody know her story, Betty Jean Owens. And so when you talk about ties at FAMU, I got so many ties. But, I'm saying I was kind of ashamed of that because here I am on campus and I ain't graduate. And so I'm just walking around there like, you little Martin, you little such and such. And I kind of ran away from that, man, because I'm like, I can't be little this when I don't even have my stuff together. I can't even walk out on the football field because they might find out I got in through the back door. And so, I kind of try to figure out, like, what do I want to do? Like, I don't know what I want to do with my life, man. So I ended up getting my GED. I took out some time, got my GED in 2008. I was supposed to graduate in 2007. So in 2008, I got my GED. Then I went to Fort Valley State University in Fort Valley, Georgia. And so I was like, I got my stuff together. I'm just going to walk on. And so in preparation for like a year or two, I was just grinding, working out, team meetings and all that type of stuff, trying to get on the field. And we got a new coach. Boom. Everybody got to try out again. And so through that process for like 2.5 years, I was just working out, trying to get on the team, trying to, do what I had to do, got a new coach. Mind you, the whole time I wasn't going to class at all. I wasn't going to class at all. It was just football and nothing. And so I ended up with, who knows what my GPA was. It was part of .02 or something, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I was at another crossroads. It was just like I was chasing this football, this who I thought my identity was at that time was a football player. I was just chasing it so hard that I didn't know how to appreciate, the process and what was around me, the network, the people that was around me, the professors that was around me. It was one teacher, Dr. Stiles at Fort Valley State University, who used to kind of like, she kind of took me under a wing, was trying to make me do my work and all that type of stuff. And remember her because it's just a part of the story. So long story short, I ended up kind of flunking out of Fort Valley State University, came back to Tallahassee, man. I got my GED. I was working at the Home Depot, and I was just like, I'm going to ride this Home Depot out. I'm just going to work at Home Depot, and 10, 20 years, I might be a store manager or something. Who knows? So that was my goal, man. I just did that. So I came back to Tallahassee, and ironically, I bought some Florida tickets to go to the Florida State game. And I was like, December, I was already back for a couple months. That was, they play in November all the time, right? Thanksgiving weekend. It was at Dope. So I'm like, hey, I gotta go to the game. I just bought some tickets, big Florida fan growing up. And so ironically, Ashlyn, went to church with, her roommate is my wife now. So her roommate had posted, I want to go I want to go to the Florida game, but I don't have a ticket. She was a student at Florida State at the time. She was like, I want to go to the Florida game, but I don't have no ticket. So I ended up giving her my ticket. We went to the game together. She thought she was going to sit in the student section, but the tickets that I had, you got to sit next to on the ticket, you got to sit next to the seat. So we ended up sitting next to each other. You know what I'm saying? That was like our first date or whatever. We went out to eat afterwards at Carrabba's. And next thing you know it, we dating, we talking. And so now I'm with her all the time and she's studying. And I'm like, damn, like, this what it looked like, you know what I'm saying, to put in that work. You know what I'm saying? This what it looked like to get to go after what you want. Even though I didn't know what it was, I kind of seen, okay, in school, this what you got to do. And so just by being with her, I got back into school. We got back into FAMU. I kind of let football go. I said, whatever, man, I'm just going to chase my degree. But still chasing my degree, I was in landscape design. So I love to draw. I love to be outside. And that was what I was chasing, man. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. And so just watching her, feeding off of her, doing my thing, she boosted me up, you know what I'm saying? And I was working at the Home Depot Garden Center. So everything at that time was kind of lining up, you know what I'm saying? So I was in the Garden Center. I couldn't find an internship, but being in the Garden Center, I made business cards. I passed them out. And so I end up, you know what I'm saying, working. Then at night I go do some gardens, put some little mulch down, do stuff like that. And so that's kind of, I had a little side business. And so just doing that, man, I was kind of excited. Next thing you know, at FAMU got rid of the landscape design program. Because we only had maybe 5 students from freshman to senior, only like 5 students in the whole program and only like 3 classes. And so they were like, we're going to cut the program just because of funding and things like that. And so I switched over to ag business. And in ag business, I really didn't know what I wanted to do, man. I was lost because it was just like, I found something I like. I'm pursuing it. I'm pushing it. I'm doing what I need to do. But one thing that I noticed just by reflecting and talking to you about it is just like, it was hard to find an internship because when you're in landscape design, it's more kind of entrepreneurial. You got to step out and kind of do it. So it wasn't really opportunities unless I did my master's in landscape architecture to kind of take it to the next level. And so not knowing God was kind of looking out for me because that world of ag business, it's kind of like a BA of business administration degree with a focus in agriculture and agriculture management, like things like that. And so you kind of had twofold. And so by switching into that program, I still just didn't know what I was going to do. But I'm like, whatever it is, I know how to grind, know how to get it, things like that. And so I was just grinding, man. I was grinding for a year. So fast forward, like I said, I was supposed to graduate in 2017, had my GED in 2018, 2007, 2008, went to Fort Valley State 2008 to like 2010, came back. So fast forward, 2013. So 2013, I'm approaching my senior year, which is 2014. And I didn't have no internship other than the one I kind of made a little business on the side. And because my grades were so horrible, like I said, at that time I had maybe like a 2-3 GPA. But in my major classes and you know, that last 60, I had like a 3.5. You know what I'm saying? I was killing it, but it was just that weight of what I had, you know, when I left FAMU.
You're trying to pick yourself back up.
Yeah, I was picking myself back up. And so with that, you know, I didn't have no internship with my wife. She wanted to be in law school. She wanted to be a lawyer since I first met her freshman year. And so she had every year, she had an internship every semester with a law firm, with Pittman, with Parks and Crump, you know what I'm saying? She was interning. So I was like, man, I got to get me an internship. You know what I'm saying? This is what you got to do. This is what I got to do. So I ended up applying to this, talking about a shot in the dark, man. I applied to this program to go to South Africa, Cape Town, South Africa, to study agrarian land reform policy. And they selected me, man. It was a summer, and I was like, what, y'all gonna take me? You know what I'm saying?
What's that about real quick? What's the agrarian land reform?
Land reform. So I'll tell you about it. So like, basically, during that summer, we had to take a class. And essentially, we had to learn about agrarian land reform policy in South Africa and apartheid. And then for 2 weeks, they took us over there to kind of, you know, immerse us in what we were learning. So just to give you a little context, in 1994, you know, they ended apartheid in South Africa. Nelson Mandela, you know, things like that. So they ended apartheid in South Africa, and they started to give land back to previously disadvantaged people in South Africa. So in South Africa, you have, you know, just like you have black, they call them colored, which are like light-skinned mixed people, and then you have white people. So black and colored people were disadvantaged, and they was giving them farmland to, you know, grow crops and be farmers. But the thing about it was, I always give this analogy, like I was working at the Home Depot in the garden center, and then after the apartheid, they'll give me a Home Depot, but not knowing, I don't know how to manage it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how to stock the shelves. I don't know all the things I need to know in order to sustain that center or to sustain that farm. And so what you had was a lot of people were reneging on the loans, like they'll get a loan for the farm and they couldn't upkeep it. Now you owe, now you ain't even worse because you took out the land that was kind of given to you through these programs, but now you didn't know how to upkeep it in a bigger hole than what you were in. And so our job, when we went over there for 2 weeks, the first week we went over there, we talked to the Cape Town, the South African redevelopment. It's like our USDA, basically. It's like our USDA. It was their USDA. So we went over there to meet with their leaders and just to hear how they articulated the policies and what do they expect from the policies in terms of how do you apply for it? You know, what do you have to do to qualify for it? How long is this program going to last? You know what I'm saying? What are the interest rates on the loan that you're giving these farmers? What educational tools do you have in place when they do take on it? You know, like what size can you qualify for? Like, this is my first farm, you'll give me 1,000 acres, like, or you're gonna give me 10 acres. You know what I'm saying? Like, how does all that work? So that was the first half of the first week we met with those people. The second week we met with researchers, because they were doing research on them same questions that we were asking, and they were kind of interviewing farmers to see, you know, are you successful? What are you doing that's making you successful? What's unsuccessful, and how can we help, basically? And we met with farmers also to get that same kind of spiel. So we got kind of like that front end of everything that was going on the first week. The second week, we went to a primary school, which is like a middle school here, and we had a 4-H club. 4-H club is just like a gardening club. And they had a community garden. So every year FAMU goes over there. The first year they went to kind of establish the garden, plant the stuff and do that. The year I went, we went to teach them how to market products in their garden. So how can you, what is your packaging going to look like? My group was group 1. And I remember, instead of looking at the garden, the dude had a bracelet on. And I was like, we're going to market this bracelet. You know, what make your bracelet special? Why should we buy your bracelet? And so that's what we had to do. They had a picture to the class, like, this is the whatever bracelet. They come in this many colors. You know what I'm saying? Just teaching them the advantages and disadvantages and kind of your SWOT analysis. Why should we purchase your product? And so
what was the age range of the people?
It was middle schools.
Middle schools? All right.
It was middle school students. Yeah, it was like middle school students. So my age range was like 6th to 7th graders.
All right.
But it's really an after school program. So all the kids after school, they'd go to this program. And so whoever was in there, we kind of split them up and we did different projects just to teach them how to grow and make their school financially independent off of the things that they were selling in their garden, but also how do you market those products in your garden? So just coming back.
Was it a lot of involvement?
Yeah, it was, man, like in terms from us or for the students?
For the students.
Yeah, for the students, man. So like I said, one of the things that I remember from the South Africa trip that really stuck out to me, one of the students said his mom had cancer. He wanted to learn how to grow plants and herbs and different things for medicinal purposes to help her out. So like they took it very, very, very seriously, man. They really appreciated us being over there. So everything that we said, everything that we was doing, it was kind of just taking heed to it. And so even though like I said, I just switched over to ag business, I was just learning myself. I was a student myself, but by telling them, they was just eating it up, man. It was just like, wow, this is what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? When I came back to the States, I was like, I want to be around full school or community gardens, and I want to learn how to teach. You know what I'm saying? That's what
Monte, real quick, bro. Not to cut you off, bro. It just hit me, dog. Like, real talk. People talk about like they want to go over to the motherland and stuff like that, right? But dog, that what you did, bro, that's some real type stuff, bro. To be over here in America, then go back to the motherland to teach what you learned, bro. That's some full circle type stuff right there, bro.
Yeah, bro. But let me tell you, bro, I used to get teary-eyed telling this story, man, because it did so much for me. Because like I said, when you asked me about the church thing, I kind of strayed away from the church and I was dabbling in the street. Like they say with boxing, you can't play boxing. You know what I'm saying? You can't play in the street either. So, but I did, you know, whatever. But I remember when I got to South Africa, man, that was my first time flying ever. Like I never been on a plane. I never had a passport, nothing. I never flew anywhere. Yeah. And so my first flight was from, bro. It was crazy.
Bro, much games y'all with as much FAMU games. I thought you would have been on the plane, bro.
Man, we was on the car. We was pushing it. We was in that car, in that Cadillac. So, you know, I didn't know what they said. So long story short, you know how you got your little check bag? I put my computer, almost everything I had valuable, I put in my check bag. You know what I'm saying? All my watches, my computer at the time was like my life. Everything was in there, man. And so I got to South Africa, long story short, got to South Africa and it was stolen. So I didn't have none of that stuff. Like I didn't have my laptop. I couldn't call, like FaceTime my wife. I had to use other people's devices. But after that experience, being over there with those kids, man, and how like to us, material things have value, like, you know, BMW, or I got a house, or I got this, or I got that. It got value. But to them, the knowledge that I was giving them had more value than anything. And so I was giving them everything that I had in my suitcase. I started giving it away, like hats and like anything I found in my suitcase that I felt like they could have value in, that I felt like I had value, but they really didn't care about it. I was giving it away. You know what I'm saying? Just because it was just like none of that stuff meant anything to me anymore. It was just more about the people you touch and like the knowledge, that exchange of knowledge and that exchange of experience, because they didn't know by me being there, it was doing something to me that they couldn't even imagine what it was doing to me inside, and what it did in terms of fast forwarding to me getting my doctorate degree. They just saw me as this person who knew everything, who was getting, I didn't know, you know what I'm saying? I didn't really know that. I just knew what I knew and I gave it to them. And so it was just like what I have, I can give. And so that was always my mindset coming back, man. It's just like, they did that trip did so much for me in terms of, you know, what I wanted to pursue, and just, you know, nothing else has meaning or value other than what you do for people. You know what I'm saying? What you can provide for this world, because that's what's gonna last. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say everything has happened to me, has happened to advance the gospel. So that experience right there really, you know, it set me up. Like the person who took me on that trip, even to this day, I tell her every time I see her, like, you just don't know what that trip did for me. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Yeah, could you say that was the point where, like you said, dang, I got to step it up when I get back?
It was more so, you know, when they say kind of your preparation meet opportunity kind of thing, like,
Yeah.
it was more so like when I got back into school and I was with my wife and we was doing our thing, like, I was grinding then. I was on the right track. Like that was my turning point when I met my wife. Cause I was like, in order to keep my wife, I gotta be, you know what I'm saying, on her level. Cause you know what I'm saying, she's not about to be carrying me. We about to carry each other. Like, you know what I'm saying, we're gonna bounce it off each other and we're gonna support each other. So in order to be able to support her and to support my own, my own ambition, you know what I'm saying, I had to put in that work. So I was putting in work. So when I got back from you know, South Africa, it wasn't necessarily the switch that kind of put me on the right track. It was more so the switch that say, you keep going. You know what I'm saying? Keep going, keep going, keep going. It was kind of an affirmation, like a pat on the back to say, you know what? Keep going. I just heard God's voice in that moment, just like, keep going, you know.
Yeah, man, Monte, man, I gotta tell you, dog, that Home Depot story, bro. I listen to your podcast, Overcome and Achieve, all the time, man. I mean, your Overcome and Achieve, I know that's your clothing line. We'll talk about that too.
Oh yeah.
But trust the process with the podcast, bro. And I love that Home Depot story, bro, because that's just a testament, bro. Like you said, just keep going, bro. Just keep going, dog. Just keep going, bro. And then taking any circumstance that you in and just making it and flipping it real quick. Real quick, man. Who can you say that you got that from? I'm guessing it's your wife, that motivation to keep going and that push. Who else did you get that from?
That motivation to keep going, honestly, man, I think it's just always been in me, man. Honestly, because when I think back on a lot of experiences, damn, that's a good question, bro. Like when I think back on a lot of experiences that I've had, I just didn't have a choice, you know. It was just like, for example, I remember being in 11th grade, man. My coach came to me and said I couldn't play. That should have been my sign in, but he said I couldn't play because I was academically ineligible. I forgot what you needed to play in high school, but I was academically ineligible my junior year. But I practiced the whole year. I was just in love with the game that much that I practiced. I was at practice. I worked in all the workouts. I was on the team, but I didn't play in not one game my junior year because I was academically ineligible. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't that. I think I'm the type of person, bro, if I get into something, my whole heart got to be into it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so no matter it don't matter what it is, bro, like when I look back at it, the reason I chose the career and I chose the path, because my wife, like I said, she wanted to be a lawyer. So if I really wanted to, you know what I'm saying, do what she was doing, I could have just been like taking her steps and doing what she was doing. But really, my heart had to be in it. You know what I'm saying? Anything that I do. So whether it's football or podcasting or pursuing the career that I did, my heart had to be in it. So if my heart was in it, then I knew no matter what happened, I'm gonna stick with it because I'm doing it for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing it because I like it. I'm doing it because this is how I see myself, or this is how, you know what I'm saying, I feel like I'm being fulfilled. I'm fulfilling my purpose. And I've always been purpose driven. It always had to be a reason behind it. Like I said, like when I was young, I didn't like going to church because I didn't see the reason. Like I'm young, like I just want to. I'm tired. Like it had to be a purpose, a reason. It had to be, strategic. It just couldn't just be. I'm like I'm going to school just to go to school, or you know what I'm saying. It had to be a reason. And so I think that's where I get it from. It's just that spirit of that, and just seeing like my grandma's story. Her bouncing back, having 5 kids and raising me on the side, and just seeing that she was selfless, you know what I'm saying, and being raised by a single mom, and walking to we used to have to walk to the corner store in the morning. We used to get we used to have to walk 2 miles to the corner store before I caught the bus to go to school in the morning, get a chocolate milk and a honey bun, and we'd go to the corner store, get on a bus, ride the bus. When I get off at this stop, my mom would watch me walk like a mile down the road by myself to school, and she'd hop on the city bus and go to work. And so just seeing that grind, like we didn't have a car, man, just moving all over the place, and just in some bad situations, but just seeing that never give up mentality from her, man, it was just like, if I choose to do something, especially at school, ain't nobody holding no gun in my head. Ain't nobody trying to rob me. I ain't pinching pennies to go wash clothes. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's easy. You know what I'm saying? If you ask me, you got people out here who really struggling, man. Like, we was really struggling. So to go from that to saying you're going to give up on school, if you say it's something you're passionate about, you're going to give up. Like, nah, this is the easy part. I just got to keep going. You know what I'm saying? I just got to keep doing it. And so that was always my mindset, just like, it's bigger than, like I always bring on my wife, because just to kind of give you a little story, kind of it's kind of where I get it from and how I motivate her, is that her mom passed away in 2007. Her mom was a school bus driver. Her grandma that raised her when her mom passed was a janitor. And so she was studying for the bar exam, the Florida bar exam. And it was overwhelmingly hard. She had to take it 2 or 3 times to pass it. And while she was studying, she was like, man, I just don't know if I want to do this no more. And I was like, listen, you come from a family of hardworking women. One was a bus driver, one was a janitor. And you chose this route to be a lawyer, and you thinking about giving up. You know what I'm saying? That's the easy part, is to keep going. Because imagine how many times they want to stop. You know what I'm saying? Imagine how many times they want to say, you know what, this ain't for me. Or, you know what I'm saying? It was much harder and so much hanging on their decisions back then. Right now, we just saying, do I want to be a doctor or a lawyer? You know what I'm saying? That's no brainer.
You didn't have the hardest part. You didn't live the hard and done the hardest part. Man, Monte, bro, I gotta say, dog, that story right there, bro. I ain't gonna lie, man. That's something me and my, you married, you and your wife getting in arguments, but I always, bro, I think back to your story, dog, and I say, man, that brother, bro, that story, you kept your kids and stuff while your wife was in school, and y'all worked that out, bro. That's a wonderful. Bro, that's a wonderful story, and a story we don't hear. Bro, that's real talk, bro. That's damn, excuse me, that's Obama and Michelle type stuff, bro. Like, that's some real good black love type stuff, bro. If you want to just tell the people a little bit about that story real quick, man. That's a podcast right there itself, dog.
that's a podcast in itself, man. I wouldn't even know what. Hold on, my son coming here now. Close the door.
I got you.
So just thinking, man, I mean, we can go back to so when we first got married, you got 2 Floridians, right? She from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I'm from Tallahassee, Florida. And I was going into grad school in Indiana, West Lafayette, Indiana, at Purdue University. But before that, I had a summer internship in Grinnell, Iowa, with the company Monsanto, which everybody know that company, Monsanto. So we driving up, summertime, we in Iowa. Summertime over with, we moved to Indiana. So we talking about snow, we talking about just elements that we wasn't used to, being so far away from nobody. We don't know anybody up there, you know what I mean? And so just being up there in the snow, and she got a job which was like an hour away from home. So if you were in Gainesville, it was probably like in Orlando.
Mhm.
But at the time she was pregnant, she had to drive to work every day in that snow, and it was just like it was just a lot going on. It was just different, you know what I'm saying? And me trying to adjust to being a grad student now, and so me having that imposter syndrome, like, dang, do I belong here? Like I'm a GED student. I was just working at Home Depot, and I'm at Purdue University with all these scholars and just well-educated people all the way in the Midwest. Like, am I out of my comfort zone? You know what I'm saying? I just
Hey,
didn't really know
sometimes
how to.
success will make you kind of scared. Like, why am I supposed to get this? Like, what have I
Yeah,
done to deserve this? That's
bro.
real talk, bro.
Bro, my granddad told me something that I never forget. He said, "Be careful what you pray for, because when you get it, you got to be ready for it." And so
Man.
when I used to pray about that, I used to pray about, I prayed over those applications to get into grad school. I prayed, I wanted to pursue this. I felt it when I came back from South Africa. Then when I got it, it was like, whoa, like, oh, I didn't think about all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Just the same thing with my wife. Like, she prayed about going to law school, but she didn't know she was gonna get married and move to Indiana before she went to law
Mm-hmm.
school, or have a baby before she went to law school. And so just kind of fast forward through that Purdue experience. Um, I was finishing my thesis, so I took all my classes. I was writing my thesis, and my wife got into the University of Florida to go to law school. So she moved down to Florida, and I was keeping my son at Purdue while I was doing that. And so, it was never a question in my mind. It was just that this what we had to do. It was kind of that, like I said, the hard part already been over with. Like, we choosing to get these degrees. So we didn't choose, my son didn't choose to be here. So we just gotta, do what we gotta do. And so I was keeping him. Luckily, by the grace of God, he got into a good daycare that was right on campus. And so once I graduated, we moved down to UF. But at the time, I wasn't in school. I didn't have a job or anything. But my wife was in law school. And so I ended up Uber driving my first year, or I'd say first 6 months, 6 to 8 months in Gainesville. I was an Uber driver. So I got to see a lot of Gainesville, a lot of different stuff that go on at
Yeah.
night and things like that. And so, but just to, she was grinding, you know what I'm saying? She was grinding. But, to fast forward, um, so to fast forward, we just been doing this all out, like, since we've been together. It's just been no question. Our relationship wasn't a question. It was more so like, how do we get to our goal? How do we get to the end goal? Because one time we had an internship. I had an internship in Virginia. This was recently at UF. I had an internship in Virginia. She had an internship in Miami. She took my son down there when she was pregnant with our second son down in Miami. And she was going to have her grandmother, stay with her, and kind of that thing. But her grandmother ended up dying, and so that was just a tough time for us. You know what I'm saying? Her being down there pregnant and working in Miami, that traffic, had my son in a daycare that was like on the other side of town down there. And I'm all the way in Virginia. You know what I'm saying? So she took one for the team, and you know what I'm saying? And so coming back, she ended up graduating before me because she got into law school before me. And so I was still in my program. I was teaching classes. I was a doctoral TA. I was a research assistant. And I'm keeping my two boys while she got her first job in Atlanta, where we live at now. So she was in Atlanta for a year working and studying for the bar in Atlanta. And I was at the University of Florida with my boys and just grinding. It was familiar to me, you know what I'm saying? I was an Uber driver, so I knew how to get everywhere. I knew people, you know what I'm saying? We got into the daycare on campus. It was never a question. Like I said, it was always the end goal, the end goal, the end goal. And so fast forward now, I moved to Atlanta. I just defended doctoral. She has her job up here, and now I'm following again and again. You know what I'm saying? Starting the cycle again. So it was never a question, man. It was just about the end goal. Like, what are we working towards? I knew when I first got to with her that she was going to be a lawyer. You know what I'm saying? So by any means, I wasn't going to stop it. You know what I'm saying? Kids wasn't going to stop it. But by the grace of God, that's where we are now.
Bro, Monte, bro, you can about end it right there, though. That's I love that story, bro. We can keep going, but I love that story, man. I love that story, bro. Bro, like just explain what your field of work is now, what you're getting into now.
Yeah. So just to kind of backtrack a little bit, when I came back from South Africa, I really wanted to do something around community and school gardens and, like, that whole giving through the outdoors, if you will. And so my research was looking at in Salem, Oregon. Um, I went out to Oregon, which is like the gold standard state when it comes to school gardens. They have school gardens everywhere in their schools. And so basically, are the school gardens, do they motivate students to get engaged in class? Is it helpful? You know, basically, what is the perception around school gardening? And so that was what my research was on as in my master's program. But my doctoral degree, I kind of zoomed out again, looking back at South Africa. You know, how do these school gardens get in the schools? You know what I'm saying? How did the school garden get in the school in South Africa? It's all that policy and that funding. You know what I'm saying? So that was my big question is, why do certain schools have school gardens and certain schools don't? Or why do certain schools built in the inner city don't have a park that's next to their school? But if you go out Southwood, you got all this green space, you got fishing, you got this, you know what I'm saying? The comparing and contrasting the outdoor experiences of these different places. So that's what led me to kind of the environmental justice and environmental policy and looking at, you know what I'm saying? My research now was looking at identity. Looking at in Tampa, Florida, African Americans, you know, what is their perception of outdoor recreation? Do they feel like outdoor people? Do they feel like they belong in that space? If they do, you know, what kind of experiences do they engage in? Are they ever afraid, or do they go out with people? Like, what is that? How do they wrap in their mind their identity within that context of the outdoors, or with the garden, or fishing, or boating, or anything outdoors? And so that's what my research is on, is essentially looking at motivations and constraints to outdoor recreation or outdoor leisure and identity. And so that's what I study now, is just motivation and constraints. And yeah.
What kind of like what have you seen in Tampa? You talk about some of the stuff you've seen in the research?
Yeah. So for my research, my findings was that historically a lot of people associate the outdoors with, like, you know, scary movies. And you know, I had a lot of people like Trump flags, like they don't want to be caught up in the backwoods by themselves, especially women. Majority of my study was women because I didn't have a good male turnout, which is what I think I want to continue to do, is to understand, you know, male and younger people and things like that. But for my study, it was more so like the women who were engaged, they were engaged because they wanted to kind of set a precedent for their kid when they get older, not to be afraid to go out. Like, you can engage in this experience. So to kind of get them interested in the experience, they participate in the experience. Kind of what we went to South Africa. We worked with the kids to teach them the gardening. But honestly, the reason why we were there for real was they were going to be the future beneficiaries of the policy that we were there to study about the farmers. So that's what it was. Like, they knew they would be the future beneficiaries of this land and things like that. But if you're not interested, it really doesn't matter. And so that was one thing. Another thing was, like, women were more prone, Black women were more prone to go outdoors if they're with a companion, with a dog, or with someone, just like I said, their son, or with a girlfriend. And if there was something to do, like if it was a guy that experienced and they knew what they were doing, what time they had to leave, you know what I'm saying? Or another big thing that stuck out to me was one, like a couple women were like, we would like to see more representation in terms of the people who are putting on the experiences, like the teachers, the guides, to be Black, because that'll draw them more attention to the experience. You know what I'm saying? Because then it'll feel more familiar. You know what I'm saying? It'll feel like they belong in that space too, not just people who cleaning the. Hold on.
I got you.
My bad. Not just people who cleaning the bathrooms and things like that. You know what I'm saying? But they felt that they should be hosting these experiences, and so, or joining clubs. And so that was my research really just found that Black men tend to be scared also because of violence, you know, like sexual assault or you know, things like that, being in the woods alone, you know, being in the dark, or just the unknown, fear animals. And so my whole body of work, what I hope, it depends on what kind of job I get, because I'm applying for some professor jobs where I can continue my research, and then some in program evaluation where it kind of be a different route. But if I continue my research, I want to see, you know what I'm saying, not only what's going on, but what are the solutions? You know what I'm saying? How can we alleviate this perception of this identity? They call it racialized outdoor identity, this identity of I don't belong here. So that's just my research.
Now, you study about us, our people in the community and out in the field and doing the outdoors. But how many of us are in your field of work, your study that you come across?
Not many.
All
Not
right.
many at all. Like, but that's in everything other than jail, and that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? If any
God
field you
dog.
want to look into, it's
Yeah.
maybe 2 or 3% in every field. My wife, lawyers, Black lawyers
Mm-hmm.
matter, Black STEM scientists matter, Black doctors matter. There's so few of us everywhere in every field. You know what I'm saying? Other than the systematic approach to putting us, the school to prison pipeline. But other than that, you know what I'm saying? It's so few. For example, the College of Agriculture at Purdue University had, I don't know, so many students. But in the grad school alone, it only had 8 Black grad students, I think. 8 to 12 Black grad students. And
And
4 of them was in
that's in
my
the
program.
Midwest, so I know it's pretty large.
Yeah.
The
So,
schools are pretty large.
oh yeah, huge. Penn State,
Yeah.
Ohio State,
I
Michigan,
know they study
you
that
know.
that agriculture a lot in the
Yeah.
Midwest, but it's not
Oh
many
yeah,
of us.
corn is not at all, man. I mean, yeah, not at all. And then it depends on what degree you're getting within that program. So engineering, that Purdue is a big engineering school. They say 1 out of 3 astronauts comes from Purdue. It's a big aerospace engineering program. That's why their mascots are trained. You know what I'm saying? So big engineering school. So depending on what, we're more in the social sciences and the nursing, STEM. A lot of us more so in the engineering STEM, but agriculture is not that many at all. And that could be
Man.
traced back probably to identity if you look at it. Like,
Yeah, man. Monte, bro, I just gotta tell you, dog, before we move on, dog, man. You one of the most inspirational people I know, dog. I think about you anytime that just your story, bro, and just knowing you, man. I think about it and I just keep going, especially man, just living life and just listening to your pod, man. I just really, really, really appreciate you, dog, and coming on and telling your story, bro. For real, man. If you can let the people know too about your clothing line, because I really want to speak on that too.
Yeah. So before that, I want to say, man, I really appreciate that, man. It means a lot because sometimes, like I said, it's good to hear that sometimes. You know what I'm saying? You don't, like I said, I do everything because I want to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do everything because I feel like this is my purpose or it fulfills me. You know what I'm saying? This is what I love to do. And it feels like this is why I'm here. So to hear that is like, wow, man, that's dope, man. It touched me. You know what I'm saying? But also,
Yeah,
I
I'm gonna
want to
tell
say
you.
congratulations on reaching. Huh?
I was gonna say. I'm
No,
gonna
I
tell
was
you
gonna
real
say,
quick. My wife said. I'm gonna tell you real quick. My wife said she was like when I told her I was gonna have you on, and I was telling her that, and she saw the invitation you sent to the house, and she was
yeah.
like, "Dog, Brandon, you know a doctor," and it kind of hit me, bro. I was like, "Dang." She was like, "I don't know all my." She was like, "My friends not doctors. I don't really know. I can't say I can go call a doctor, or hit up a doctor." Oh man, that's
Yeah.
just that's just it hit me right then. I was like, "Dog, bro, I took advantage." I was like, "Bro, I ain't think about that, bro. I know a doctor, dog, and I can holler at a doctor about something, man."
Yeah, holla at me. But no, it's crazy, man. That's crazy. I can't even being a getting your PhD and master's degree is such a grind that it don't even seem real. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just the process that they put you through to get that degree is just so humbling and so strenuous. It's just like, wow, like I'm finished for real this time. You know what I'm saying? So like, man,
Yeah.
I appreciate that for real, for real. But I was saying, congratulations, man, on 2 years of podcasting, man. It ain't
Oh
easy,
yeah.
man. So like, congratulations just for starting up your idea, man. I love that, having your
Yeah. No.
idea and just grinding towards it.
I appreciate it, dog, bro. Cause I was listening back to some of your episodes. I was like, dog, I can't believe, bro, this been out since 2018, and I've been listening to. Like, dog, Monte been grinding, dog. I've been listening since 2018 with it, dog. Every
Yeah, day, yeah.
what day you usually come out? What is it?
Friday.
Friday. Yup. I thought
Yeah,
everybody else
Friday.
come out throughout the week. Then Friday, you got to hit them for the weekend.
It's crazy you say it because even with that, man, you say 2018. You remember I told you a story about my wife in Virginia. I mean, I was in Virginia, my wife was in Miami. That's when I started the podcast, was during that whole experience. And so a lot of times throughout even my podcasting journey, man, I wanted to quit because like with school, for example, I recorded episode 80 through 89 probably almost 8 months ago when I was living in Gainesville, but because of my journey, I had to put it on pause. You know what I'm saying? So I put the podcast and the clothing line on pause so many times that I didn't know if I should keep going or keep. But just hearing you say that, man, it's like motivation. Like just keep doing it, you know. Because I didn't know, man. It's just like it's hard. That's why I say, man, congratulations on reading 2 years, because it is a process, man. It is. Even if you feel like you called to do it, it's still hard. You know, anything you do, if you feel like you called to do it, it's gonna be hard. You just got to keep pressing on. But that's basically, so just hearing my story and everything that I've been through, and everything that I will go through. My whole motto is just trusting the process, you know, and overcoming adversity, overcoming to achieve something. And so that's what my podcast is, the Process Podcast. Where we have people on each week where they're sharing their stories. Like this week, we have Dr. Padilla on, and he's coming from the Bay Area, California, gang-infested area. He had a 0.67 GPA, and now he's a medical doctor at Harvard. You know what I'm saying? So just having people on like that is just like to let me know that I'm not alone, because I always felt like I was an imposter, like I wasn't supposed to be in this space. But just hearing people's stories allowed me to say, you know what, I'm supposed to be here because there's no one like you in this space, and you're supposed to make way. Because I don't know who said it. You see, the Nipsey is a big influence in my life, man. But it's either Nipsey or somebody else I heard, is that if you touch a door, and me and you touch the door right now, they'll know who touched the door by what fingerprint is left on that door. And you got to be different. You got to be your own. And so everything I do, I try to leave my fingerprint, man. I try to put my own touch on it. And so that's what the podcast is, that's what the clothing line is just trusting the process, being authentic, being your real self, because like Nipsey said, that creates your own lane. Your lane is already made for you. So if you stick in your lane, they'll know it's different. They'll know it's you. They'll know, you know what I'm saying, this is where I'm supposed to be because it was made just for you. And so I try to live by that, you know, my purpose and my lane, you know what I'm saying?
How was it hard to learn to trust the process?
Like I said, I don't think it was hard for me. I just didn't know what it was called. I didn't know how to define it. I just knew that if I'm passionate about something, I'm just gonna keep going, even if it get hard, even if I fail, because I failed a lot of times. But I had to switch it up. I had to find a different avenue. I had to find a mentor. I had to talk to somebody who did it before. Like before I went to grad school, I was talking to so many people because I didn't know what they expect. I had to talk to my granddaddy a lot. Like, what is the snow? What is the snow? You know what I'm saying? I never seen snow. Like, should I put on new tires? Should I get a new car? Like, what should I do? Like, you know, it's just always, the more you go, the more it get harder sometimes. You just got to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. Just like the podcast. I put out a few episodes, everybody liked it. Then a lot of people fell off, but then I got a lot more people on the back end, but just keep pushing it, because I wasn't doing it for anything but that purpose. And so if you're chasing your purpose, it's easy to trust the process because you got to have a bigger picture in mind, which is hard right now. Even now, I'm applying for jobs, you know what I mean? And I think I put in over 45 applications and haven't got an interview yet. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard. It's like, how do I do all this school? I'm qualified on this and that. But, you know, back in my mind, trust that process. You know what I'm saying? Process, trust it. Everything that I do is just, all we have is life and death. You know what I'm saying? We couldn't choose when we were born. We can't choose when we die. All we can choose is we wake up every day and put one foot in front of the other. And that's all I believe in, man. It's just putting, like my Uncle Derek. Hey, I always got these people I lean on. It's always something in my head. My Uncle Derek, man. You know my Uncle Derek.
Yeah.
We used to live way out in the country, man. He used to walk to the store, walk to work like 20 miles. I'm like, oh, doing all this walking. He like, man, I'm gonna pick him up and I'm gonna put him down. That's what he used to say. So that's my motto. Like, man, just get up and pick him up and put him down. You know what I'm saying?
Man, bruh, dang, what I was about to say. Man, I forgot, man. But I'm gonna say this real quick, bro. Nip dying, dog. That I think, bro, that's the most impactful. That's the only thing I would say. We were young when Tupac died, but that's the only thing close that I can think that how they felt when Tupac died. I think, bro, I remember, bro, when he passed, bro, just sitting, bro. I ain't gonna lie, bro. I was a big baby, bro. I sat in my wife's arms just crying, dog. I ain't even gonna lie, bro. I said just crying, just trying to figure out, like, bro, why?
Yeah. Nah, man, that you're not lying. Like, what? Like, first of all, I was gonna say, yeah, you're not lying. the person who put me on Nipsey, believe it or not, was Silk, the with the roll up
Yeah.
podcast. Like, I've been following him for a long time. When he was with what was it, Stall, Kev,
Star
and
Kill,
Silk, I
yeah.
think
Shout out to it,
they had
yeah.
a podcast way back in the day. Like, it's not back in the day, but a few years ago they had a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But he was always tweeting about Nipsey. And so I hopped on Nipsey then, you know what I'm saying? So I'm listening to Nipsey. His new album came out. I was on that Victory Lap, and that Real Big song come on. Matter of fact, I was driving to Tallahassee from Gainesville, listening to that Real Big. And man, tear it up, man. Like, man, this crazy, man. This crazy. But it was more so the thing that hit me the most was that, like I said, I do everything with purpose. Everything's got to have a purpose. Just got to make sense to me. And his music made sense. Like, not comparing him to God. Like, I never compare. He wasn't an idol. I wouldn't say he was Jesus. But like I said, I find inspiration in knowing that people who went through something can articulate what they went through, how they got through it, how they got to where they are now, and what themes they can pull out from their life, or like, you know, what they can embrace from their past and say, look, this is what I've been through. You know what I'm saying? This is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And so just it's like little poems from his songs. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, evidence of a divine presence, blessings. You know what I'm saying? Like my favorite one that's on all my Instagrams is, you know, I was thinking chess moves, but it was God's grace. You know what I'm saying? Like, you thinking you got all figured out.
That's what Khaled, right?
Yeah, that's higher.
Bruh, no lie, bruh. I watched that. I had to watch it 3 times, bruh. I had to watch it 3 times every time I see it. You were saying he, you know, not to say he was Jesus or idol, but bruh, no lie, bruh. I had to watch that video 3 times, one for the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, just because I respect it, bro. And it's something about that video, dog, and the words and how the angles in the video was shot, bro. That's divine grace, like he say, bro.
Yeah. But man, that video, and me, I be listening because it should have been another verse. He just needed one more verse.
Yeah.
Give him one more verse, because it just to switch up. Like, aside from the gang banging and the stuff he's been through in his life, man, it was just, he was a real person. You know what I'm saying? He was a real person from his community that really had an impact on a lot of people. Man, I saw a dude graduated from UL that had Nipsey Hussle on his fame. You know what I'm saying? His regalia, his graduation regalia.
Yeah.
Like, people get his face tatted. You know what I'm saying? It was bigger than, like they say, the marathon continued. It was just that mindset of, like one of his videos, he said he embraced every emotion. He went through every emotion pursuing what he pursued. And what does that mean? He trusted the process. You know what I'm saying? He literally went through everything trying to pursue what he did. And so that's same thing, man. That's why it was so impactful to me, because it was like, man, like, all we have is what he left. You know what I'm saying? We don't have no more Nip verses coming out.
He left a lot,
like
boy.
But he left a lot.
He left a lot, dog.
Even in it's a song called Bigger Than Life, where he's talking about, you know, find your purpose. Basically, essentially what he's talking about is find your purpose, because he found his in that music, you know what I'm saying, and follow his footsteps. But all that other stuff really don't mean nothing. All that material stuff don't mean nothing. It's about that purpose and how hard to chase it. And so, yeah, man, he left some gems, but it just, yeah, it was a tough one, man. I was a tough one.
Yeah, man. I was gonna say this. What I was gonna say, like, one thing about the process I have to remember is that if I trust that if I'm coming in with good intentions, everybody he put me in front of and around gonna have the same type of operation I'm going. And that's one thing. It's hard for me to understand about the process and really and keep in my mind. But then I snap in, but like, all right, I got to remember, I can't be scared to go into this situation, because I know whoever I get into it with, they gonna know what I'm about, and they gonna be about the same thing.
Yeah. You're gonna attract people that is like-minded, but it's gonna be some difficulty. It's always difficulty, because it's always that, how bad do you want it? You know what I'm saying? It's always that. It's almost like when you pray about something and God give it to you, to ensure, not saying you're not ready, but to ensure that you're ready, you got to go through some kind of process, or you done went through some kind of process that you can be like, oh, okay, I see what that was for. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know what I'm saying, I can grab hold of this or that, and it can carry me forward because I already been through it, I already seen it, I already heard it. Or, oh, that's like I said, that's what my granddaddy was talking about, like, be careful what you pray for. I'm like, I go to church all this time, we worshiping God, we sing all these songs, You telling me to pray at night, the Lord's Prayer, but now you telling me to be careful for what I pray for. You know what I'm saying? So then it's like, okay, now be careful what you pray for, because what come with that, you know what I'm saying? It may have to make some way. You got to make some room. You might lose friends.
It may come at a time. It may come at a time when you ain't ready for it yet, but you prayed for it, so you got to. That's some true stuff.
Yeah, it's on you. But when it come, he know you ready for it. It's just on you. You know what I'm saying? Like he know you ready for it. Yeah, because it may not come when you want it, but it's gonna come right on time. You know what I'm saying? So when it come, it's on time. It's just like, oh, you know what I'm saying? I'm figuring like for example, my wife got accepted to UF Law School. We was living in Indiana. We had to sit down and like, okay, you gonna go down there? I'm gonna stay here with the boys. Like she prayed for. She been praying for getting to law school since we got together. You know what I'm saying? So when she finally got that acceptance letter from the University of Florida, she was like, we had to make room for that. You know what I'm saying? We had to make room for that to happen. For example, I prayed to get in. I was like, you know what? I want to do a doctoral degree program. So just to take you back, this for your listeners, anybody out there want to go to grad school, it's more about the relationship with the advisor than it is with the institution you apply to the institution. And what I mean by that is, so getting into grad school, I had a 2.3 GPA come out of FAMU. I applied to about 20 graduate programs. The only graduate program that I got into was from a guy named Dr. LaVon Estes at Purdue University, who was a Florida A&M alumni in the agribusiness program, who was looking for students from FAMU to bring to Purdue. You know what I'm saying? That's the only grad school I got into out of 20 applications because I knew him. You know what I'm saying? Like he basically, his purpose in life was to find me. You know what I'm saying? That's what he does, find Black African-American students at HBCUs to bring them to Purdue to get a master's degree. You know what I'm saying? Train them and everything like that. And so if you think about that in itself, that was his purpose, met my purpose. You know what I'm saying? But working for him in a mentoring at Purdue program, we put on workshops on why it's important to have mentors. So in my mind, I never had a mentor. But through this process, I'm learning, okay, it's important to have a mentor because it is like literally putting on workshops that I'm learning from by working for it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It was hard because I had to get my email etiquette up. It was like a lot of little stuff that I had to learn being in that world that I didn't know. But he was like on me. You know what I'm saying? And like learning how to work with a manager, somebody who's over, like just little stuff that I didn't learn in the office that I had no experience with. He taught me that just by being up there with him. And so we put on workshops on how to get in grad school, how to make connections with advisors, how to do what you need to do to get the money, where the funding comes from. So fast forward, my wife got into the University of Florida. We're at the University of Florida. I graduated, I have a job. I was applying for jobs. I'm like, you know what? I want to get a doctorate degree. I looked about 5 professors up online. I found the one that I wanted. I went in her office. I met with her, told her, you know, basically what I did in South Africa, what I did at Purdue, what I want to do. Do you have funding? You know what I'm saying? And she said, we would love to have you. You know what I'm saying? Before I even applied, she said, we would love to have you. I went home. I already knew I was in there. You know what I'm saying? I went home, applied, I was accepted. So through my process, even though I prayed to get a doctorate degree, I didn't know that I had to go to Purdue to go through that struggle, being in the snow, doing all that stuff, learning about mentor, learning about all this stuff, just so I'd be able to walk confidently in her office and know what to ask for. You know what I'm saying? Like that small of that, my little prayer that I thought, and that's another thing about a prayer. I thought I was praying about getting into grad school, but I was praying to be developed and grown a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? He knew I was going to pray that prayer, but that's me humbling myself to acknowledge that who the creator is and fulfill what was going on. And so, man, I could talk about a lot of them processes, but that's a few. That's a few.
Yeah, man. Monte, man, let the people know before we get off where they can find you and find your work at, man.
Yeah. So I got like 3 Twitters and 3 Instagrams, but you can find me on Twitter. I just changed my name to N as the like Nancy, the letter N. Process We Trust. In Process We Trust on Twitter. On Instagram, it's Amontè, Amonte, Martin, Martin. You can find the clothing line and the podcast through either one of those Twitter or Instagram. But yeah, you can find me there, y'all. Just keep trusting the process, no matter what, no matter how, like they say, fan, no matter how dark the skies get, no matter how tough it get, just keep going. Because it's something out there for you. It's something out there that you're working towards. And like Nip say, you closer to your goal than you are to quitting. So just keep going.
Hey, man, Monte, man, I appreciate you one more time, man. I love the story. I wanted my listeners and I wanted everybody to hear your story, man, one more time on Smoke Screen. I wanted to get it on Smoke Screen, man. What song you want to close it out with, bro?
Man, it got to be a Nip song. It got to be Bigger Than Life. It has to be, what's my other one, man? Ocean Views.
Yeah.
Or what's on Victory Lap? Man, it's so many. Just one of them will do it, man.
Man, you know I do my intro, the middle song, and the end. We'll finagle it. I'll put all of it on there. I do all of it, man. Once again, man, that's a great episode of Smoke Screen Podcast. I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all keep up the good work, man. This year only is just starting, dog. We got a long way to go, but we all got each other, and we're gonna trust the process, man.
Oh yeah,
I appreciate y'all.
Oh yeah, and thank you for having me, man. Thank you for
man, I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you, man. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all.